Hello and welcome to this week's Content Classroom. This week's conversation is about how long is too long for a video. Is short the best tactic for you and your business, or should we go longer? And more importantly, what is short and what's long? Sadly, I don't think that there's a real answer to this question. I think it very much, I'm going to sound like a psychologist. I don't think there's any real answer to this. It depends. And I say that in full confidence. I've just recorded a webinar with a psychologist who's got me into this mind of thinking, but bear with me. So I saw a conversation the other day on LinkedIn, and it was from a good friend of mine who had recently released a 3-minute video, and she'd only gotten 22 views on that video. And she'd then been to a webinar where the person talking had been promoting short form videos of 60 to a maximum of 90 seconds. And that's what drives views and engagement and all the rest of it. There's an underlying problem here in that we're all, whether we admit it or not, we're all probably chasing vanity metrics. And they have a place because that's how we measure the relative success of any one given piece of content to know that we're traveling in the right direction. Right. So I get it. So first of all, the long form video, I would say, is anything over about 5 minutes for me. That starts to get into much longer conversations. Short form is generally anything up to 5 minutes. But for a lot of people who are creating content predominantly for things like YouTube and TikTok, 60 seconds is an upper limit. Now, most of my clients and most of my audience and network are LinkedIn based. And for me, I really struggle with that 60-second content because I kind of feel like it's clickbait. 60 seconds, I don't feel is enough time to pose a problem or a question and answer it with enough depth that people can go away and do something about it. I think it's enough time to pose a question and create a conversation. So it very much depends on what you're trying to do with your content as to whether that's the right medium for you and the right way of doing things. So you want to create short form content that's posing questions. That's a great way to do it. And you can be really engaging with that. And the facts don't lie. You will get more views because the algorithm sees it's short. It will push it harder, and people are more likely to give you their time if they know it's only a 60-second video, for example. However, I'd also argue that content that's 3 to 4 minutes long is long enough that it can pose a question, look at the problems with that and the symptoms of that question and problem that people are facing, and give you a couple of quick ways in which you can go about solving that problem for yourself without hiring, for example, me to do that for you. I always try and give people a way to do things themselves because I believe that if you can do it yourself, you should be doing it yourself. And that is a great way of building trust and credibility with your audience because they start to see you as an expert. So if your goal is, rather than trying to just create engagement and conversation, which might not lead to business, but instead to convert your audience to see you as an expert, I'd argue that longer content is much more effective way to go. But there's a caveat, as with everything. I also believe that you should be doing both. It's not about doing one or the other. The real power is in mixing your content up. So I also don't believe you should just be doing video content. I don't believe that you should just be doing copywritten posts. I don't believe you should just be doing images. I feel like there's a mix that you need to find for you and your audience that covers a mix of all of that. Video should be front and foremost. I firmly believe that. But it should also be a mix of short that allows people to take a risk on your content, watch it and see whether they align with you. Longer form content that adds real value to those people. And then long form content, which is, podcast episodes and webinars where people who have realized that they probably want to work with you at some point can go and look in depth at what you do and why you do it. So that is the theme for this week's newsletter. I appreciate I haven't answered any questions definitively. The answer still lies with you, but there is nothing wrong with creating 3-minute content. Yes, you might get less views. I guarantee that those views that you get are worth more to you and the value is higher. Second, content has a place. It does help you engage with your audience. It does help you capture their attention, and it will force you to be honest and succinct. But the way I promote a lot of people to create content is to start with the super long form content and create both 60-second content and let's call it 3-minute content out of that longer form stuff. So you get the points to promote to people. And a mix of both, for me, is the ideal way of going about that and engaging with your potential audience to help them see you as the expert that you are, so that when the time is right, they can come to you and say, I need your help. And that's what we're all after, right? Hope that's useful. And I'll see you again next week on Content Classroom. Bye-bye.